Hi Leo, welcome to your first half of February 2017 general tarot reading. It's Raina here, and I was just thinking about the eclipses that we're having in February, and for the time period that I'm covering right now, I'm dealing with the lunar eclipse, and it's in your sign. That's why I'm dealing with it. So if you're born around 22 degrees of Leo, so that would probably be around the 14th of August, give or take a few days, something along those lines. You will definitely feel it the strongest, but, because it's in your sign, it's significant. And what is a lunar eclipse? It's a very powerful full moon. And, during full moon periods, it's a time for letting go, so they say. But with eclipses, it can be something that really is a point of no return, where something comes to a head, which can happen at any full moon, but, definitely with an eclipse, a lunar eclipse, it can come to a head and leave. And with you, it could be your basic way of being. You may decide that you need to change your life drastically. And there, it's kind of interesting because for you, you're going to have, because I'm recording this before the new moon in Aquarius, which is happening on January 27th. And so this will be, the new moon in Aquarius will be in your 7th house of long-term relationships. So there may be a connection between that new moon and the full moon in your sign that comes 2 weeks later. So you may, in your mind, make a decision about something and your whole life changes. You drop your story, and actually Leo doesn't have that much of a story, to be honest with you, because Leo is a very positive sign. So there are, of course, neurotic Leos, as there are, with any other sign. But if you feel that you carry around the past with you and you're constantly bringing up the past, this may be a time when you just that's it. It's like a snake shedding its skin, okay? So anyway, just wanted to bring that up really briefly. Okay. Lots of positive cards here, okay? And major arcana, too. We have 3 of the 7. And you have to know that major arcana versus minor arcana, you're looking at 22 versus 55 cards. So there are about 2.5 times as many minor arcana cards, so I have almost half and half in this reading with major. So anyway, the overall theme, and this could be actually a facet of yourself, is represented by the Emperor. This is associated with the sign of Aries. So if there is an Aries person or somebody who is a military man or a police officer, this could apply to this person as well, a law and order type of a person. But I think that for some of you, this is a facet of you, because this can be representing rigidity of thought And this could be, since you're a fixed sign, you tend to have stubborn qualities along those lines of like, this is this and that is that. And it's very hard, to get fixed signs to shift their perspectives on things. And this can create tunnel vision, to be honest with you. I mean, that's one of the manifestations. However, this could be something totally different. Like I said, it could be somebody in your life who happens to be of the sign of Aries, or it could also be somebody who is, who has joined the military, is a member of the military. Also, this could be a judge. This could be you visiting, or maybe a judgment, because this could be a wise person from society, like a judge who is making a decision. And he's holding a sword in his hand. So I think the sword, of course the sword is a weapon, but I think it also means, cutting through to the truth, if I'm not mistaken. So that could be somebody who is, if you're getting a divorce, for instance, that could be the feature of this time period. Now, remember, this is a 2-week time period. So if I'm telling you a million things are happening, let's just be logical here and realize that these are symbols, and, don't take it literally. Some of these things may not be appropriate for your particular life. This is a general reading. Not all Leos are having the same experiences. If this was astrology, and I was doing an astrological reading, that would be different, because there are certain influences that affect people of a certain sign, but even then it has to do with degrees and stuff like that. So just take it with a grain of salt, but see if it resonates, any of the messages of the cards. I think also that this could be showing your sense of personal power in professional situations, that you're in this lofty position. In the recent past, we have the 3 of Pentacles. So this would be due to your own effort, where you have really worked hard for what you have attained, if that's the case. And this is the card of the Architect. So you did something, you built it, you did build that. And it was, you may have worked with other people on a project, but it gave you that stature now, and you're enjoying that elevated position perhaps. Leo is a natural leader, so it's not odd for Leo to be in a position of authority, or in a position where they are receiving some kind of merit. In your private life, there could have been an earth sign individual that perhaps, I'm getting earth, but it could be somebody who just exhibits very pragmatic thinking overall. And this person you may have had conflicts with this person. So this would be Taurus, Capricorn, or Virgo individual. The higher messages, you may hear from this person again. Maybe this person left and didn't even tell you, and you were kind of left in the lurch, and you just moved on with your life. Maybe you had the means to just enjoy your career and not worry about that person, and now they're going to try to come back. Because I'm getting this as a page, this suggests that you might hear from this person, and also the page can indicate that there's money coming from some place, that you're going to get some kind of, it may not be like a lot, like a big windfall, but it may have some kind of lump sum of money. Also, it could indicate that there is some kind of a student that is connected with or will be connected, and it's an important thing to note, because it's in the spiritual perspective is more of a you know, it's not just the day-to-day type of concerns. It's more of the, like, looking at the bigger picture. And it could be a child. So it could be that the upkeep of a child, maybe it's child support issues, and maybe that's what you've been dealing with. And maybe it's with even with an earth sign individual, maybe they're not paying and you're trying to, you know, get them to pay. So it could be saying that you will be getting that money. So maybe it's just going to take some time, because we have here another Pentacles, which is connected to Earth card, Two of Pentacles in the challenge position. So it could be that this person is trying to get something going and they're feeling blocked, and they're not getting another job, or they're trying to get two jobs, or they're too harried. They're trying to make ends meet and they don't have it to give you. Only you can discern if that's true or not. I personally, you know, have never had children. I've never had to deal with child support or anything like that. But I would say, you know, to definitely not use the child as a pawn in any kind of negotiations for the child support, even if, you know, you need the money very desperately. Don't, you know, succumb to that tendency or that temptation to, you know, out of anger, try to, you know, block the other person from seeing their child. Because if somebody, you know, I know that there are cases where the other person says they can't pay, maybe they're working under the table. I understand that these things happen, but I still maintain that you want to do what's best for the child, and that is independent of how the other parent is, you know, treating you, whether you feel that they are putting the burden on you to provide support for the child. It's, you know, it's a test, really. It's a test to see what you're made of. Leo is a noble sign, so never betray your nobility by sinking to any level that would threaten your stature as being a very noble sign. Be a generous person when other people are not. Not a fool, but a generous person, because I think that overall it will bless you, and it will bless you just by, it will bring you peace of mind that you know that you're a good person. And so for what that's worth. And the person may really have a lot, it may be doing a juggling act, because this is like a card of very, and this could also, you could be doing that too. This could be about you. If you're not getting child support, then you may have to work more than one job. If this has nothing to do with a child situation and you don't even have kids, then this is simply that you may be very harried right now. You may be doing a lot of work, but it's, you know, Leos are hard workers, so it's not like you can't do it. You know, you're very focused. All the fixed signs can be very focused when they want to be, for sure. The advice, or what's coming in, is represented by the Five of Cups. I think that this is more of a relationship scenario. So if you're identifying with this in terms of your career, I don't think this card would apply to you. I think this is more disappointment. I would say this is about grieving a loss. So in all of this, if you have had kind of legal matters and stuff like that, you might have been so busy trying to deal with that you haven't really dealt with the emotions that it has brought up for you. And this is kind of like a cleansing period. When you have in February that eclipse, that will be a very cleansing experience, because that is the full moon, and this is like very powerful, is a very, very powerful kind of a cleanser, a detox. So if you need to detox the grief out of your life, there are different ways you can do it, you know. different things you can do for that. And you should definitely do it to get it out of your system. So examples are, just physical detox, because we can store emotions in our bodies, and, we also store toxins in our bodies. So when you do a physical cleanse, it can assist in helping us spiritually and emotionally. And so much, of grief that, you don't want it to get lodged in the body, because then it becomes a part of you and you don't want it to stay there. So any kind of things that get rid of that, sometimes yoga or sometimes Reiki sessions, whatever is, you may even know it yourself. You may do things, there's emotional freedom technique. And you can look up free videos probably on YouTube to find out how to do that. Tapping, it's called. So there's all kinds of things you can do to kind of transcend this sad experience, if you have had a sad experience. Maybe some of you have not, and this card is not really appropriate for you. But, all of us have had disappointments. This card, and rejection and all that stuff. So maybe all of us can always, look at these areas where we may be carrying long-term sadness for something that did not work out, when we felt like somebody really, dissed us, or tried to, or we felt abandoned or something like that. Maybe all of us need to have this cleansing ourselves. The outcome is a card of healing too, the Temperance card. The Temperance card is also associated with Sagittarius. So it may connect with somebody of that sign specifically. But it can be very healing. It can be very balancing. The Temperance card is about moderation. And I can't help but notice that you see that, I think that's Archangel Raphael, isn't it? I'm not sure, but you see how he's pouring the water? It looks just like the sign of Aquarius. So that's interesting as well. That may relate to some of you if you're dealing with someone of that sign, or because of that new moon being in the 7th house in Aquarius. But also, this is a card of, as I say, it's a card of balance, and this is a card of imbalance, okay? This is a card of being kind of frenzied. So maybe things start to kind of calm down towards the end of, towards the middle of the month. And likewise, I'm trying to think now. Well, it's interesting too, because you're going to have a solar eclipse in your 8th house at the end of February. So that's kind of interesting in terms of intimacy. There may be a new beginning in that area for you at the end of the month. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. But right now, there is a sense of restoration of stability and healing. And, this is number 14. What is February 14th? It's the end of this time period, but it's also Valentine's Day. So what is going to happen on Valentine's Day for you? Is there going to be some kind of a turning point, perhaps? We shall see. There was something else I wanted to say, and I can't think of what it is, but it doesn't matter. I think that this is a very interesting reading. It's funny. I just realized something. I didn't tell you what was coming in. I kind of conveniently forgot to mention this, because this is the outcome card. That's the last card. This is a card that during this time period you may experience a renewed sense of hope. So again, I do feel that perhaps some of you have been involved with somebody that, where you felt a conflict with. You didn't feel like you were seeing eye to eye. For some of you, you may have even taken it as far as getting divorced. And the Star card is about, it's a card of healing as well. So I used to see the Star card in a different way. And now I realize, because I experienced it myself when I pulled it for myself at a time of need, that it was a card that really comforted me, because I realized I had gotten over this hump and I knew I was going to be okay. And I haven't, done the tarot for myself in a really long time. I think since I started doing these readings, I really haven't done it. I might have done it a couple of times, but I used to do it a lot more for myself. And, it was kind of hit or miss. Sometimes it really seemed apropos, sometimes not so much. And I used to I stopped doing it, because if I didn't like the card that I got, I would keep picking cards until I got a card that I liked. And that was kind of silly, because in those days I thought that there were good and bad cards. There are still cards I don't like to end readings with, by the way. So it's not like anything has changed that drastically, but back then I was a lot more superstitious about it. And then I just kind of eased out of it, because I was doing this as my profession, and I, for some reason I didn't want to do it privately for myself. So this is, I know that I have been comforted by this card, and it was coming from a period of, major stress, and, just this continuous ordeal. I can't remember what it was, but I just knew that, it's like you're just really worn out, perhaps, and then it's like things are going to get better. I wasn't quite sure, but now I'm convinced that things are going to get better. And it allows you to surrender to whatever's happening. Whereas before you might have been fighting against it because it felt like it was something you didn't want to have happen. And you make peace with you make peace with the struggle, but it's actually like you make peace with the idea of not struggling, of allowing, the art of allowing. I think the Abraham Hicks material talks about that. And that, lets go of resistance. The Star card can also relate to the sign Aquarius, which is your opposite sign. So again, that new moon that is activating your 7th house in Aquarius, that this reading is coming on the heels of, because, as I said, that's actually happening on January 27th. So that it may not be with an actual Aquarius person, but it may be a partner. Maybe you were having a rough patch and now you feel like you're a lot better. Also, I wanted to say too, just before I go, that you've been having Saturn in your 5th house of romance. So for those of you who are single and looking, and this is going to go on until December sometime of 2017. So this is for the whole year. And it has been last year too. And this means that you are going to be very committed to anything related to finding a serious partner. You ruled the 5th house of romance, creativity, children, things like that. And the 5th house is also like fun and games. And so it tends to be a very playful area of life, and not heavy, not ponderous. But because Saturn is taking up residence there, it can be a lot more about being, driven to finding a love partner that you can build a life with. Saturn is all about the long term, not about fly-by-night affairs, okay? In the 5th house, I should say. So yeah, so that can bode very well for you too, which is a very grounding influence. And so the Star card coming in could either be talking about that influence of the new moon really starting to affect you, or an actual Aquarius person coming in, feelings renewed that your life is on the right track and things like that. So I hope you enjoyed this, Leo. If you'd like a private reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a great first half of February. Bye.